Everyone loves a good uppercut. It may occur to you when thinking of great users of the uppercut in MMA, not many spring to mind. Perhaps knockouts from legends like Anthony Johnson and Mark Hunt are the first images the brain finds. But Justin Gaethje, who isn't renowned for this weapon, might just be the best user of the uppercut in MMA history. Let's take a look at how Justin Gaethje mastered the uppercut in MMA. Why the uppercut is more challenging in MMA. If you were to take a random screenshot from a boxing fight and an MMA fight to compare side by side, what would be different? Think a little deeper than the octagon, 4-ounce gloves, and no shoes. A key difference is the distance between combatants, otherwise known as the range. This won't be the case in every bout, but a fair generalization is that MMA bouts take place at a further distance because of factors like kicks, takedowns, and smaller gloves. With this in mind, you can begin understanding why the uppercut is tougher to find in MMA. Being such a close-range weapon, MMA fighters have to either close the distance significantly, throw the punch very long, or time their opponent ducking into it. Understanding the uppercut at its best. In Chapter 17 of Championship Fighting, former heavyweight champion Jack Dempsey.
The case we have here, Jack Dempsey is a very, very vicious man. And as you see, he fights like someone hasn't eaten for 5 days. Oh man, I'm crazy about Jack Dempsey because of this ferocious intensity. There's no one like him.
Writes about the uppercut. Uppercuts are particularly effective at close quarters against an opponent capable of blocking your various hooks to body and head. However, the uppercut never should be used at long range. It loses its purity at long range, and it leaves you wide open when attempting to use it at long range. Justin Gaethje understands this concept, and utilizes the weapon when it's at its most effective, in close range. Gaethje has two main ways of landing the uppercut: behind punches and the collar tie. Now that we understand MMA fights take place at a further range and the uppercut is best at close range, in order to land the uppercut at its most powerful, we have to be close. Gaethje does this by leading his attacks with a weapon better suited at long range. In Gaethje's fight of the year against Michael Chandler, Gaethje set up a beautiful uppercut. You see here Chandler approach Gaethje and throw a dipping jab. Gaethje sees the jab coming, slips to the inside and attempts to land a counter left hook. Chandler is being responsible in the pocket by keeping his right hand high, guarding his entire head. But it doesn't matter, as Gaethje throws the punch where Chandler's head was before the dipping jab, which makes the punch graze the top of Chandler's head. I don't like to infer intent, but Gaethje had to have picked up on Chandler lowering his level in punching exchanges, because in the very next exchange, Gaethje shows Chandler a jab. In response to this, Chandler starts to dip into another jab, and Gaethje loads up a beautiful uppercut to perfectly intercept him. In this instance, Gaethje takes a subtle step forward as he shows Chandler the jab to help get into range. The effect of the uppercut is severely increased by Gaethje leading Chandler into it. Gaethje is phenomenal at both understanding when his opponents are prone to duck their head and guiding them into that instinctual defensive reaction with feints. Another great example of this happened in Gaethje's first fight against Rafael Fiziev. Gaethje really started finding his jab and uppercut in the third round and completely dominated with it to close the fight strong. We see Gaethje jab, Fiziev slip to the outside and down slightly with his hands up. Gaethje leaves his lead hand up in the line of Fiziev's sight, which is serving the purpose of keeping Fiziev shelled up. Gaethje then takes a minimal angle off to his own left while taking a deep step with his rear leg. This allows for Gaethje to take another even deeper step with his lead leg to achieve the optimal range to land a tight uppercut. Gaethje uses the weapons which better suit the long range to both close the distance and lead his opponents into the uppercut. The second way Gaethje gets to his uppercut is with a move that is illegal in boxing: the collar tie. Although the uppercut is certainly more difficult in MMA, the collar tie edition introduces a new element to the weapon which makes landing the uppercut much easier. In Gaethje's fight this past weekend, he found the collar tie uppercut. See how Gaethje slips to the inside of Fiziev's jab, then weaving underneath to his right side, while Fiziev tries to time an uppercut. With Gaethje avoiding both of Fiziev's attacks, he is now in range to throw attacks of his own. There's one problem though. Gaethje is looking at the ground due to his weave. In order for Gaethje to land an accurate shot from this position, he has to see where Fiziev's head is. Gaethje does this by throwing his left arm over the shoulder of Fiziev. Now, since he understands where the target is, he comes up with an extremely tight, close quarters uppercut, which surprises Fiziev and drops him. Even if Fiziev would have seen the shot coming, it wouldn't have mattered because Gaethje was controlling Fiziev's head. With the uppercut being a short-range weapon, as we have mentioned over and over, opponents can often see it coming and back out of range. When controlling the head with the collar tie, Gaethje ensures his opponent has no ability to avoid the shot.